Good morning, all. Welcome back to the sixth day of the 10 Tips series workshop. Hi, I'm Sheetal Jethi, the founder, director for Chalk Academy. As I have been telling that obviously Chalk Academy always aims at empowering educators, parents, teachers. So today's topic is obviously related uh, majorly to the parents, but however there are implications of this topic of towards the parents as I mean to the teachers as well, because at the end of the day teachers are one of the most important element in the child's life, and hence teacher plays a major role whenever there is any kind of issues into the child's life, any kind of disturbances, any kind of good things or bad things happening into the child's life. So today's topic which we are dealing with, or today's topic which we are going to discuss, is about sleep. So as we all know that sleep is one of the major aspects into a child's life, and hence I thought that it's going to be really important for all of us to little bit understand about more into the sleep aspect of the child, and hence it can be much more interesting for you guys to analyze that why a child is not sleeping and how a child can sleep. So let's directly come to the topics. So today's topic is about 10 tips about good sleep in children, right? So before we go into the topic, let's understand what is sleep, right? So sleep is basically what I can say is a routine which we follow on a regular basis, where our brain tells the small neuroreceptors which are there, or the neurotransmitters which are there inside it, to stop working for some time, right? Now, it's exactly like when we are having a laptop or a tablet which we are operating, or a mobile phone which we are operating on a regular basis, and we ask them to, boss, just keep yourself shut down for some time so that you sleep, and give your entire system inside a rebooting capacity, right? So sleep helps the entire body to rejuvenate again after the whole sleep cycle is completed. Now, until and unless the sleep cycle is completed, it becomes very difficult for your body to come back to its normal shape again, or normal routine back again, right? Now, it's always like, if you remember into your laptop, it's whenever you have switched it on and you are restarting it, there are sometimes the restart process is not complete. It's rebooting, and it keeps on showing a circle which goes around and round and round and round and round, right? That means your laptop is not yet ready to come back to its normal stage. So this is why I'm telling you or giving you a simile, is because you can relate. So when a child is sleeping, or when we also as adult we are sleeping, and we have not completed a complete cycle of our sleep, at that point of time our body does not allow us to come back to a normal work pattern completely, right? I hope all agree to it. So all of you can see the slides. Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Yes, great, awesome. So what happens if the child does not sleep well? Now, let's say, for example, we are talking about our laptops and we are talking about our gadgets. Now, human bodies are like machines. The moment your machine is not given enough of rest, the machine doesn't work properly. Now, there can be two things which you can see immediately onto children when they are not sleeping. right? Or they have not got a proper sleep pattern. Two things which you can see, right? The first thing is they might be too sleepy throughout the day, right? Or that can be the second option, where they are not getting enough of sleep at all, right? So two patterns you can observe: when the child is going to sleep, they are not sleepy at all, or they're always too sleepy. Both the conditions are not good, right? Both the conditions are not good. Now when you're trying to make a child sleep and he's already sleepy from 7 o'clock in the evening or 6 o'clock in the evening, that means there is some problem with the child. If the child is getting tired very often and he's wanting to sleep all the time in the day as well, that means his sleeping cycle is not normal. On the second hand, if the child is not at all sleepy, he's awake till 2 o'clock in the night, 3 o'clock in the night, he's not even completing that 8 hours or 9 hours of sleep what he needs, do you think that it's normal? Absolutely no. So both the cases, if the child is not sleepy at all or he's too sleepy, both the cases are problematic. Now there can be three categories of problematic sleep which can be there. So we can categorize sleep problems or sleep disorders into three categories. Okay. Now the first category is dysomnia. We call it as dysomnia, which means there should be so the child does not have the duration or does not complete the duration of proper sleep, whether it is very less, whether it is very too much. I mean, the child wants to sleep throughout the day, the child is not sleeping at all. Both the conditions are bad. Both the conditions are not good. So the child is not following a complete duration, or not following a normal duration of sleep, which the child should do at that particular age, right? That's called as dysomnia. The second category is called as parasomnia. Now, what is parasomnia? Parasomnia is a case where the child gets disturbed sleep, right? Now, the disturbed sleep can be because of the nightmare, can be because of sleepwalking, can be because of bedwetting. So the child has abnormal activities during the sleep. So the events which happens during the sleep are quite disturbing for the child, and hence the child does not get proper sleep. Now the third category is medical psychiatric disorder, which means that the child is not sleeping because of the medical conditions. Now there can be cases in when a child has schizophrenia, when the child has autism, when the child has different special need, the child has a problem into the food. That point of time also sleep has a lot of impact. So these conditions, when the child is not sleeping, whether it is category 1 dysomnia, category 2 parasomnia, or category 3 which is a psychiatric disorder kind of thing, all the three conditions you need to immediately check onto a medical grounds. However, as parents, as educators, you need to have a proper uh, scrutinizing of the sleep cycle of the child and understand if the child, why the child is not sleeping, what are the conditions, and if the child is not sleeping, then what are the solutions to it, right? Now as teachers, if you see that the child is sleepy throughout the day, you'll have to intervene immediately. Ask the parent, did the child have a proper sleep? Did the child is the child not sleeping from last couple of days? What is the condition of the house? Whether the child is on some kind of eating disorder? What is the issue with the child? As educators or as teachers, you all have to be aware about. As parents, you will have to take a lot of necessary steps so that the child starts sleeping well. Okay, the action point is at your end, at the parents end, whereas if I talk about as the teacher's end, she has to be diagnosing things, she has to be pinpointing that, okay, if the child is not very happy, if the child is not very enthusiastic in the class, if the child is having issues in reading, if the child is lethargic, that means the first question should be, did the child have a proper sleep? Because sleep regulates the entire day. The previous night's sleep regulates the entire day, right? So why sleep is important? A good sleep is equal to physical plus mental well-being. Until and unless you are having a good sleep, you will not have a good health physically or mentally, right? Neither you can concentrate onto your work, nor you can play, nor you can write, nor academically you can do anything. So always remember, good sleep is equal to physical plus mental well-being. So the occasion the child or someone doesn't have a has a night without a sleep will make him tired the next day. But if continuously the child is not sleeping, it affects both the mental and the physical health of the child. Hence, you will have to be very carefully seeing that how the child is sleeping. I always suggest that if the child, if you are wanting to make a pattern of the child health in terms of sleep, then have a diary maintained of his sleep patterns. If it is very irregular, please start maintaining sleep diaries. Okay. Um, what happens? How do the child look when the child doesn't have sleep properly? Feels tired all the time, drops off during the day, finds it difficult to concentrate, finds it hard to make decision, finds it always has a low mood, and starts worrying about not being sleepy. Okay, and it is definitely a worry factor. So ideally, what is the time we should sleep, or what is the time frame the child should have a sleep? So if you look at 0 to 3 months, the child should sleep at least 14 to 17 hours in a day, right? 14 to 17 hours. That's because the brain is making connections when the child is sleeping. The brain is building up neurons when you are sleeping. Okay, so the neurotransmitters have told that please stop working. I have building work to be done. So the building is happening when you are sleeping. The repair work is happening when you are sleeping, right? So a child, when the child is newborn, 0 to 3 months, the child needs 14 to 17 hours of sleep. 4 months to 11 months, it's 12 to 15 hours. That's a minimum. Okay. 3 to 5 years, 10 to 13 hours. 6 to 13 years, child has to sleep minimum of 9 to 11 hours. Obviously the sleep has to decrease when obviously the child is growing, because the more of a physical work, then obviously your strength has already been built up, your neurons have already started building connections, and hence that point of time your work, I mean, your sleep is majorly doing the work of relaxing yourself. Whereas if I'm looking at child or an infant starting from 0 to 13 years, at that point of time, or specifically till 8 years or 9 years, the sleep, during the sleep, the neural connection starts developing. Hence, it's very important that the neural connection starts building up when you are sleeping. So specifically when the child is at the early childhood stages, the sleep is anything on an average of 14 hours, 10 hours to 14 hours, right? So please make sure that your children sleep properly and have that sleep a time given to the child. Okay. Now, if at all the child doesn't sleep well, just look at the kind of implications which starts coming in. What are the kind of disadvantages, or what are the kind of implications which starts coming in? The child is having anxiety, the child is depressed, irritable, very poor motivated child, poor attention span, focus. The child gets distracted very easily. The child is lethargic, right? So these things are quite a bit of implications if the child is not sleeping well. Hence, your sleep plays a major role. As teachers, again, I'm saying, moment you see any kind of discrepancies into the child behavior, please ask the parent first that whether the sleep cycle has been completed, whether the child is sleeping well or not. And as parents, please make sure that your child is sleeping well. Now let's start with the 10 tips for a child's good sleep. Tip number 10, ambience. The first thing is your atmosphere, or the ambience in where the child is sleeping. Do you think that if the place is completely cluttered with clothes, with toys, the bed sheets are not cleaned, the child is going to sleep? I don't think so, right? So you'll have to take utmost care that when the child is going to bed, the room should be completely cleaned, the bed sheet should be well placed on the bed, the light should be dim, because always understand, with a dim light our eyes tend to close, our brain calms down and tells us that okay, it's time to sleep, and our brain stops making those hormones which, or slows down in making those hormones which tells us to stay awake. Okay, so basically the hormones which are telling us to stay awake comes down, the level of those hormones comes down when the lights are dim. And similarly, the temperature, if the weather is cold outside, you can't put fan on full speed, right? So you will have to take a complete control of the ambience of the place where the child is sleeping, so that the child sleeps well. Always remember, clutter free, clean, clean room along with dim light and good temperature control. If the child is small and the child has not started sleeping independently, then I would always suggest that somebody should be present with the child till the time the child sleeps, right? Along with that, you can always have a favorite toy of the child, or a favorite blanket of the child, or maybe the favorite pillow of the child, because everybody is used to kind of having their own places. When we change place, we do not get sleep, right? So everybody has their comfort zone and favorite blanket, favorite pillow. I don't share my blanket with anyone. Okay, so it's very inevitable that every child has its own choice. So please remember that these things are very important as when the child is going to sleep. Tip number 9. Okay, take less water before bedtime. It prevents the child to keep on getting up and going to the bathroom again and again. Okay, so the moment so at least about 2 hours before, you should limit the amount of water the child is drinking, right? Ideally you should not give water 2 hours before, and I mean the child should have at least a half a glass of water. That's more than enough for the body to because the body is not going to do any work when the child is sleeping, right? Hence, it's always important, the lesser the intake of the water, the lesser the urge of the child to go to the bathroom during the night, and hence the child can be at peaceful sleep. Otherwise, it might, if the child is very small, there can be cases of bedwetting. In that case, the child gets up. If the child is a little bigger and wants to use the bathroom, he keeps on getting up in the night and it disturbs the sleep. So always less water intake before bedtime. Tip number 8, minimize caffeine intake. Now, lot of chocolates, I mean, it's not only the caffeine, it's also about any kind of sweets, any kind of aerated drinks, any kind of coffee related stuff should be avoided. So if you all would be knowing, caffeine increases the hormones which helps us to stay awake. Okay, so many chocolates nowadays has cocoa or caffeine into it. Hence we usually do not see the content of what is the chocolate into, I mean what does the chocolate has. But both the things, coffee or the coffee intake of that in that chocolate, and the sugar helps the child to keep him awake and active maybe throughout the night. Okay, so sugar intake, caffeine intake, chocolate intake, aerated drink intake should be avoided at least 3 hours before the sleep. So if the child is going to bed by 8 o'clock, the child should not have anything related to these things which we spoke about at least from 5 o'clock in the evening. Anything related to this, any caffeine related thing, any chocolate related thing, the child should have absolutely before 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. That should be absolutely avoided. Always remember, aerated drink, chocolates, caffeine, sugar makes the child absolutely energetic by increasing the hormones which helps us to make us awake. That's the reason when we have to have late night work, we have a cup of coffee or tea and then we work, right? The moment we get up in the morning, we need a coffee or a tea to rejuvenate us, right? We all want that. Whosoever is, I mean, 80% to 90% of people in India are addicted to coffee and tea. So, and that's because caffeine which is present in tea or coffee helps us to generate that hormone which keeps us awake or energetic, and hence that super duper kick which is required in the morning gives us which we get it from tea or coffee. Okay, it's tip number 7. So when we talk about tip number 7, it's overeating should be avoided. Okay, now overeating, we always say that eat like a king, and the breakfast should be like a king and dinner should be like a beggar, right? So this is what our forefathers have taught us. That's always scientifically related, because the moment you eat more during the night time or before you sleep, your food does not get digested, and hence it becomes really difficult, or it makes the child too heavy for him to sleep. We always have to have a gap of 2 hours from the time when we are sleeping and the time we had our food. So in general, because our digestion or a little bit of digestive process should start before we sleep. If not, then we feel so heavy that we will not be able to lie down and sleep. We will always have that tendency to go and have a little bit of walk or start playing a bit. And the energy which is required to actually digest the food, the body is telling us that, okay, boss, I need that energy to at least digest some amount of food. So there is a fighting between you and the body. Okay, so body tells that, boss, I need that energy to break the food down, and you are telling that, no, I'm going to sleep. Okay, doesn't happen like that. So your body always wins at that point of time, and hence you tend to get up and not sleep. So always remember, have less food or light food during the dinners, and not too much of eating before you go to sleep, right? Tip number 6, you will have less, or actually avoid screen time before sleeping, at least 2 hours before, as I said. So screen time before bed, again, um, so there is a hormone called as melatonin. Okay, melatonin is a sleep hormone. Now the moment we have screen time during the bed, or lot of cases I have seen that children are given tabs, or their tablets when they are um, going to bed, and while watching that they sleep. But that process takes a long time. That is one. Second, why? Because the tablet or the screen actually blocks melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. Okay. Second, if a child sees a tab when the lights are dim, the child tends to have dark circles under eyes, right? The third, the brightness control is, so the child always wants to see the tab onto a bright light, and during the night, if the brightness of the tab is increased, or the obviously the kind of color combinations which a child is seeing, so let's say we are assuming that obviously we are giving a controlled content to the child, but child oriented content has a lot of colors into it. Okay, the bright colors, once the child sees during the night, it tends the child to have visual stimulation, which again helps the child not to sleep. Okay, and the child is active again. Hence, majorly for 3 reasons, all these 3 reasons which we spoke about, the screen time should be avoided before the bedtime, right? Hence, at least again, before 2 hours or at least 1 hour, the child should not have any screen time when the child is going to sleep. Okay. Physical activity. Now, physical activity is also very, very important. As we discussed about melatonin, melatonin is the sleep hormone. While doing physical activity during the day, the child starts releasing that hormone. And the sunlight, which is vitamin D, which is the source of the which is source of vitamin D, sunlight, which is source of vitamin D, helps in the generation of melatonin. Okay, so always remember, children should be exposed to sun so that there is enough of vitamin D they get, and vitamin D in turn helps in releasing of melatonin, and that in turn helps the child in sleep. So playing is very, very, very important at early childhood. So a child should always play at least for 2 hours to 3 hours in a day under the sun. And it should be outdoor activities, no indoor activities. That's where the chain will happen. The vitamin D from the sun, vitamin D helps in melatonin, and melatonin helps in sleep. Okay. Let's come to tip number 4, comfortable clothing. The child cannot sleep in a very uncomfortable cloth. It's not only the child, it's all of us. I think we all are used to the nightgowns, we are all used to our pajamas, we are all used to kind of very comfortable clothes while we are sleeping. That's because the body or the muscles of our body relaxes during the sleep. We might be wearing a tight fitting kurta or a tight fitting shirt when we are in the daytime. That's because we feel confident about it. But when we are sleeping, our muscles need some space. They are also relaxing, right? The more we also kind of spread out and we sleep. Similarly, our muscles in the body, they also spread out during the night. So you need to have aerated, I mean, kind of little loose, breathable, and most importantly, cotton wears, right? Cottons are the best for our body. So hence, please remember, cottons are the best specifically for children, loose fitting and breathable clothes. Please avoid tight and polyester made clothes for children in the night. Okay, hence comfortable clothing is the tip number 4. Tip number 3, bedtime stories. Why we tell bedtime stories is because bedtime stories helps the brain to calm down. The moment we are tucked in inside a comforter or a blanket and there's somebody reading a story to us in the dim light, our brain calms down. Stories always helps us to relax our body. Stories helps us to start fantasizing things which we fall asleep and start dreaming about. Hence, bedtime stories are really important. At the same point of time, when you are sitting or you are very close to your child, along with the child reading something, that it gives a lot of comfort level to the child, confidence to the child that the child goes to sleep. In the bedtime, during the bedtime stories, you can also talk about what happened throughout the day with the child. That not only gives a positive reinforcement to the child that okay, I had so many good memories throughout the day, I had so many good things throughout the day. Because health or a good sleep is all about mental health as well. If the child gets good vibes at the end of the day, that my day was good, the child tends to fall asleep faster. If the child has stress throughout the day and probably the child was bullied, the child did not have a good day at the school, friends did not eat with him, friends did not talk to him, he was not able to play throughout the day, you can actually tell him that please calm down. Tomorrow is going to be beautiful. Tomorrow we can go out somewhere and we can do so many things and fun and this and that. And probably the child has a positive feeling in that way. So, both the cases, if the child has got a good day, you are building up that whole memory of whatever happened in that good day. And if the child had a stressful day, you are relaxing the child by giving him comfort, him or her comfort, that okay, there might be a tough day, but tomorrow is going to be fun. Okay. Tip number 2. Now we all have routines into our sleeping, that you will have to come back from play at about 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, have your hands wash, your homework done, eat your dinner, and by 8 o'clock or 8:30 you should be there into the bed. So there's a routine which we follow. Now what happens during the weekends? We have guests coming in, or we go out, or there's a party at home, there's something special we are cooking. That's because all the 5 days we have been working and we need some kind of relaxations. It's absolutely fine, perfectly fine. But At the same point of time, you should always remember that 2 days of weekend should not spoil the routine of the child of sleep. The moment you disturb that 2 days of routine, to again set it back, it takes you again 10 days. Okay. So please remember, you might have guests at your home, you might be going out, you might be visiting somebody's place, but till the time the child doesn't have a proper sleeping cycle, please remember the child should not be disturbed into weekend routines. The remember, 2 days of weekend routines and 4 days you will want to set it up back again to normal, right? Early to bed, early to rise. This mantra should be instilled into the children from the beginning itself. They should not be encouraged at any point of time to be awake till 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the night. Absolutely no. Children need to have to go to bed by 8ish or 9ish, which gives them enough of time to rest, the bedtime stories, to discuss with you what happened throughout the day, uh, to calm themselves down. And if they go to bed by 8 o'clock, they sleep by 8:30 or 9. Okay. So always remember, early to bed, early to rise. Our, grandparents would have told all of us all these things, but we usually do not listen to them. But that's the mantra. Any child goes to bed early and rises up early is going to have a lot of, what do you say, uh, ease into next day routines. Okay. So I think these are the 10 tips. We also have programs on for parenting workshops where we do a lot of tips, where we give a lot of tips to the parents. There are also certification courses for the parents as well, where they can do courses of how different kinds of activities can be done on sleep patterns and making the little life easier for them. So other than that, obviously we work a lot with the teachers and the educators, where we do have our diploma courses into online early childhood education and work for NTT as well, which are happening online right now. We do have, for all these courses, we have accreditation from three big organizations, which is International Accreditation Organization, Ministry of HRD of India, through an organization called as All India Early Child Care Education. And also we are affiliated to ECA, which is Early Childhood Association of India. These are our accreditations. And obviously with the completion of the course, you get 3 certifications, not one, which is your course completion certificate, POXO certificate, which is protection of children against sexual offense, and a safe baby training certificate. We are present across Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Mumbai. For any details, if you want, you can please call us up on 911 088 3082. You can also write to us at info@chalk.academy, or also visit our website, which is www.chalk.academy. Okay, great. I would love to hear if there is any kind of questions from the participants.
Good afternoon, Sheetal.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Once again, it was very nice, very nicely explained. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My only concern is present day parents are too distracted and they are unable to coordinate their schedules with the child's schedules. So if you can send some tips about how to motivate parents to retain. There are times where fathers are returning home at 11 and they don't get to see their children next day before they go to bed, before they go to school. So that is one. And the excitement that they create in the child, parents themselves are very poor role models.
Absolutely. See, basically, if you ask me, it's all about the kind of lifestyles which we are leading right now. We have been materialistic, and we feel that love and affection can be compensated with materialistic things like toys and clothes and a lot of other things which the child wants. So we compensate our times, or the time which we have to give to the child, with a toy, a chocolate, a cake, a cold drinks, a donut, which is sad, which is sad. However, see, the parents also at some point of time have to work, but their dedication towards the child should be equally there. The only way which I feel that the teachers or the educators should be on a constant touch with the parents to give them new ideas, that okay, how you can make, let's say you have half an hour with the child, how you can make that half an hour functional, rather than you also sitting across with the child going to a hotel and you are busy on the phone rather than with the child. It's really sad. So I did visit couple of restaurants, during these like last month. So some of the restaurants, they have done something very beautiful. They have blocked your internets. Okay. So I feel that some of the days you should just block your internet and just spend time with your family. And I think 2020 did give us some kind of realization that okay, our family members are not that bad that I cannot spend time with them. So that was something very beautiful. There are indoor play areas which are very amazingly done up for children. Weekend, first half of the day, you should really go out with the children. um, Nature connects are amazingly well for children, and it works out wonderfully with children. So, and then if with and if you want to utilize your social media well, you can get connected to a lot of things like Bangalore. So in Bangalore we have something called as Bangalore Weekend Outs. So every city has a page like that. So you can have an 1 hour drive, and you have beautiful locations with lakes, with for trekking, for mountaining, lot of things within 1 or 2 hours of drive. Other than that, you definitely need to have some kind of what should I say, rather than materialistic thing, how you can spend time without any kind of materials. That should be much more meaningful. As I keep on always saying that my workplace is my kitchen. So whether it is with my child, whether it is for me, you can learn a lot of things through kitchen. And cooking is something which helps you to activate all your senses, all sensory organs, whether it is touch, whether it is smell, whether it is eyesight, whether it is taste. It activates almost all of your five senses, right? So mothers can involve children into cooking. In that point of time, they spend time with the child, and they also have given children a lot of avenues for their developmental aspect as well. So yeah, other than that, obviously educators have to be counseling the parents again and again and again. So I might share across some of the tips onto the Facebook page of Chalk for, how parents should spend good time with children. But yes, parents have to do it. We can't do their bit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Great. So it was a lovely session. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay tuned for tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to do temper tantrums in children and some tips how we can be a little more good to them while they are having a tantrum. Okay. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.